are Raskin Unmasked. I've got my latest murder mystery. This is the third one in the trilogy. It has the same private eye, a woman named Tioga Vignetta, and they're all set in the same place. In this book, it's just called The Valley, and it's inspired by a real place, Sonoma Valley. The town has a plaza similar to the town of Sonoma, and so in this one, and in Dark Past, Dark Future, there's some blackmail that's going on. There's this young woman who's being blackmailed. She went to, in the book, she went to Burning Man, and she posed without any clothes on. And now she's engaged to be married to a candidate for a district attorney. And so the blackmailers feel like with her boyfriend, fiance running for office, he won't want to have these pictures of her circulating. So somebody's gotten a hold of these pictures that were taken at Burning Man, and says that if they get paid $20,000, that they'll hand them over. So that's how the private eye detective woman Tioga Vignetta gets involved, and meeting with the blackmailers, and that gets her involved in all kinds of other things, and finds out that these same people are part of a pornography ring in the valley, and so there's a link up between the pornography ring and the blackmailers. And so she meets the candidate for office, and she meets the young woman, Natalia, who's being blackmailed, and her family. She comes from a well-off a grape-growing, wine-making family, and sees that side of the valley. And then Tioga also, she meets this guy she's known from the past, the guy who's in the previous book, and they become a team, and he moves into her place, and she feels a bit secure, or more secure with him around. He's a gun-toting guy, and is not afraid to use it. So the book opens with Tioga taking a walk, and somebody is following her. She's walking in a wooded area, and she takes out her phone, and she actually takes a picture of the guy before he flees. And so they know pretty early on, they know who the guy is who's been stalking her. And they think they know why he's stalking her. So Tioga has been married and divorced, and her ex-husband, Tomas, was a smuggler on the border, the U.S.-Mexico border. And he doesn't show up until later on, but he and the stalker think that she has the money, his money, which he was not able. He was in a shootout with the police. In the second book, he's in a shootout with the police, and he has his money hidden in this big warehouse. And Tomas and the stalker think that Tioga's gotten in there and taken the money, and she's hidden it someplace. But she's totally, her lips are sealed about if she has the money. She doesn't admit she has the money. Tomas, who becomes her boyfriend, thinks she has the money, but he doesn't even tell him. So there's a lot of suspense. And you don't know where the money is. You do eventually find out that she does have the money. She's hidden the money, but you don't know where she's hidden it until the end, and you don't know what's going to happen between her and Tomas also until the end. So I think it moves fast. What you call a page turner. colorful characters, a vivid description of this place, some of its history, some of its past. So I was going to read just a little bit from the second chapter, which is called The Heart of the Valley. The valley hid its dark past and tried to ignore its dark future. Some folks, fools that they were, glimpsed darkness from around a corner and cried out, "Bring it on." The valley rose out of the waters of the bay and galloped north and west until it reached the outskirts of the county seat. There were banks, hospitals, courts, and jails. The wealthy binged in big houses on tree-lined avenues. The poor survived in tents and under bridges on the outskirts, where they died alone of pneumonia, cancer, and diseases that didn't yet have a name or a cure. So that's the kind of setting, the setting where it's taking place. And then the first paragraph in chapter 1 introduces the readers to Tioga Vignetta. It was a sultry evening in June, soon after the start of summer. Tioga Vignetta walked briskly down the footpath that meandered along Humboldt Creek, now almost entirely dry after a winter and spring with little rain and less runoff. She wore jeans, a loose-fitting blue blouse, and flats. Her blonde hair was piled on top of her head. Her cheeks were red from the sun. So, there she is right at the beginning. She's taking a walk. I've given fictional names to places like Humboldt Creek. I don't think there is a Humboldt Creek around here, though obviously the name Humboldt will be familiar to people. And there's two quotations at the beginning of the book. One of them is from Otis Redding, one of his best-known songs, also made popular, famous by Aretha Franklin. "All I'm asking is for a little respect when I come home." Yes. And then there's another quotation from this English guy. He had a long name, Thomas Babington Macaulay, who said, "You may judge a nation's rank in the scale of civilization from the way they treat their women." So, I'm exploring in this book the way this society, or the civilization of the valley, treats women. Some of them well treated, some of them not so well treated. Some of them just treated like sex objects and meant to be, put in pornography. And Tioga's very independent, strong person. Tries to do right all the time. Help those people who are less fortunate. She has a kind of conscience and sort of morality. She's not perfect. Sometimes she can be a little bit trigger happy. Yes. She carries a gun. She packs heat, to use the colloquial expression. She has a shoulder holster, or sometimes she wears the gun in the small of her back. And there's the police. She has some encounters with the police. And her boyfriend, who's Mexican, sometimes has trouble with the police just because he's Mexican. So they have to talk themselves out of some situations with the police. And there is a gruesome murder in the story. I don't want to give it away, but based on an actual gruesome murder that took place over in Sonoma Valley some years ago. So some people tell me, "Oh, there's no crime over here in Sonoma. Everybody's law-abiding." Well, you scratch the surface a little bit, you find out there's all kinds of crimes over there, same as any place. Although people seem to be more willing to think that there's crimes in like Chicago or LA or New York than in places like Santa Rosa or Sonoma. And what was I going to say about the fact that there are, in the old days, in the old murder mysteries and both the novels and the movies, the detectives were always talking on payphones. They'd go into a booth, they'd drop coins into the slot. But now, when everybody has cell phones and mobiles, you can anybody can make a call anytime, any place, or receive a call. It kind of makes it, I think, more streamlined. Yeah. So, and then the detective she has a desktop and a laptop, and she's on mail. She does email. She does texting. She's able to do some research by going online and find out about people. So very, very, not like the old days where you had to go and get the actual records in some office. So a lot of stuff she finds online right at her fingertips. So I would say she's pretty up to date, and she's pretty, modern. I think there's humor in the book also. I think there's kind of humorous parts of it, and some of the dialogue is funny. I don't know if I could pick out one funny part immediately. But yeah, it's it's here and there. It's a dark book. You'd expect a dark book with like this total dark past, dark future. And I would say when I was writing my first book, which has the title Dark Land, Dark Mirror, people were not so willing to accept the idea of darkness, the dark times in Sonoma. But now, with COVID-19 and pandemic and civil unrest and global warming, it's sunk in, and people say, even people who are, really optimistic and hopeful say, yeah, we're living in some dark times. And it's not total darkness here. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And at the end of the book, the reader finds out who it is who's written the story. It's told in the third person. It's not first person. There's no I. Tioga is not telling it. There's a person who knows her and knows a lot about the valley and all the different people, and so I think that's a nice twist at the end. People have said that. It's kind of surprised you find out who the narrator is. Yeah. So I recommend it. I know summer 2020 is coming to an end. But it's good to read any time of the year, and fall and winter and spring and summer again. It's shorter than the previous ones. It's more compressed. I learned how to write murder mystery by doing it, and never took a class in writing murder mystery. Read plenty of them, saw a lot of movies. I still like seeing all the noir, the old noir and the new noir. I like the suspense and the detectives and the mix of the cops and the criminals. Yeah.